Alright guys, got some exciting Rome Total War action for you today. This is an online CWB battle. It's one-on-one. Julii Romans versus Brutii Romans. I'm playing the Julii Romans. This is my army. I have 6 urban cohorts that are silver. I have, let's see, 6 Roman archers that are gold, and I have 4 Praetorian cav which are silver. So there we go. I'm setting up my archers right behind my infantry. I deploy with 5 urban cohorts as a front line and 1 in reserve, and I put my heavy cav immediately behind my archers in the rear there. I'm also gonna deploy kind of over on this edge, primarily because I wanted to stay away from like these trees here in the middle. So I just felt this was a better place, kind of an open area here directly in front of me. That would be a good place to engage my enemy. Alright, it's taking a little bit of time to get through the deployments here. Alright, so my Brutii opponent, let's see what he has. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 Roman archers. They are bronze. He has 6 urban cohorts that are, 2 urban cohorts that are gold, and 4 Praetorian cohorts that are silver. And he has 4 Praetorian cav that are silver. So similar forces. I have a few more archers than him. I have a little bit better infantry than him. I'm moving forward. Definitely with 6 archers to 4, I have the advantage there. I would say I have a slight infantry advantage because he has 4 Praetorian cohorts, whereas I have 6 urban cohorts. He only has 2 urban cohorts. So I'm moving forward kind of methodically. When I saw my opponent had initially deployed in this area, my objective was to come up on his right side and take this higher ground here before he had a chance to take it. I was expecting him to immediately move over onto the higher ground, but I was surprised when he didn't. So I'm going to move forward, take that area, and try to engage in some skirmishing. Most of the time when I move my forces around, I try to kind of keep everything together in orderly. It's a little easier to keep things organized. The battles can get hectic enough, and you just do yourself a favor by keeping things as organized as you can to keep track of what your men are doing. Alright, so my archers are coming forward slightly in front of the infantry here to engage his. He has 1 there, and then 1 slightly behind it, and 1 slightly behind that, and then still others in the back. I think this was a mistake on his part, because essentially these closer ones are going to get triple teamed, and I believe that's what I was doing in the battle. You'll see their numbers are already almost at half strength in just a few volleys, because I have probably 3 of my archers shooting at one of his, or maybe I have all of them shooting at that one. These haven't taken any losses yet. Seeing those so far away, I go ahead and charge out my cavalry to engage them, and he brings his out as well. So I go ahead and engage his cavalry in this fight. This was not a good idea on my part. I should have pulled the cavalry back. I'd already decimated his archers there, was in control with the skirmishing fight, but I went ahead and engaged in this fight. Let's see. I think his cavalry was actually slightly more upgraded than mine as well. 1 additional upgrade, so they have an advantage there. Okay, so seeing that cavalry fight going on, he brings up 2 additional, his other 2 cav to be there to support, and I bring mine out to meet them. This again was kind of bad planning on my part. I should have had my cavalry closer to support the other cavalry. Had my opponent chosen, he could have charged in and engaged these way before mine got there. And here, my opponent had hidden a unit of denarii in this little clump of trees here, and they came out. I don't believe I was paying attention to this. I didn't see them come out. They came in on the side and really, you know, routed my cav that was fighting over here. So definitely some good moves there by my opponent, and some bad decisions by myself. So seeing my cavalry losing here in front, I try to charge one unit of urban cohorts up to engage his cav. I'm able to catch them for a second. I don't even know that I killed any of them though. I'm gonna throw some Pila at them, but they're running away. And yeah, didn't do any good. Okay, so I'm gonna bring my infantry back into line here, try to reorganize. You can see 2 of my legionary cav, or Praetorian cav. I have 7 in that one and 5 in that one. They're routing from the battlefield. They're not going to return. But I have 2 that are essentially half strength that have returned. So I'm going to reset my lines, reform, and making a fresh approach here at my opponent. Now, going back to how you organize your troops, I've found many times in battles where you kind of have an engagement like I just did, and then there's a break off in between, and you get a chance to reorganize. And it's kind of interesting. You'll find sometimes you come out with an upper hand after the engagement, or with you know, on the losing end of the engagement, but that doesn't necessarily mean you lose the battle. It really just depends on how you're going to react to that. So in this case, I came out on the losing end. I have half my cavalry left, or actually less than half. I have probably about a quarter of my cavalry left, and my opponent has half of his cavalry left. See 2 half-strength units there, and on this other wing 2 half-strength units. So he's got half his cav. I've got a quarter of my cav, but I still have archer and infantry advantage. So I'm going to reset my lines here and take another stab at this. Now, what was interesting in this battle is my opponent is playing very defensively. He's continually moving back throughout this battle so far. In fact, he started out kind of over in this area, and he moved back. He moved back close to this tree line, and then he's moved down into this valley here. Now, the initial reasoning for that was the positioning to get me into position so he could spring these denarii on me. However, I don't think my opponent thought about the battle going beyond that phase, because it doesn't seem like he's doing anything. You know, he's kind of just sitting back here, kind of reorganizing some of his troops. Okay, so all my troops are kind of back, reset into position. Last, I'm moving my cav back into the middle on the back row again. Okay, so now all my forces are gonna shift and directly face the enemy. He's bringing out some of his archers to the front line. You can see, I see pop up here some archers in the woods there. Now, when I saw that pop up on the mini-map, they popped up momentarily and I saw them. So I decide that I'm going to clear these woods, especially after I was ambushed by denarii earlier in the battle. So he's kind of put his infantry into this pyramid shape, which I don't see any kind of advantage to doing that, but he chose to do that. With denarii off to this side, and then Praetorian cav on both flanks, and 2 archers in front. So at this point in the battle, I recall I had moved forward. I had seen that item pop up on the mini-map. And then they popped up again, and I was considering how I was going to clear those woods, as it would be very ill-advised to engage my enemy into this open area just to have some unknown forces come out of this on my left side and ambush me on the flank. My forces would crumble if that happened, and it would not be a good outcome. So I've moved forward. I'm letting some of my archers engage these that were in the woods. You can see they've gone from 45 down to 34 in just a couple of volleys. I believe these closest to them are doing that, and I'm also moving forward some to engage, preparing to engage these. So the stronger one, this was a full unit of 80 men. Using probably 4 of mine, I've already taken it down to 20, 18, so it's almost completely annihilated. This one's down to 15. They have a little bit of cover from these trees, so my arrows aren't as effective as against these that are out in the open, but having 2 against 1 is plenty. Okay, and there we go. So he's going to withdraw those troops. They're pretty much decimated. Now you can see this is a valley going down, so I believe I have a slight terrain advantage from up here to shoot down here. Okay, now I've shifted fire over onto these archers. I remember at the battle, at some point I took my cav to clear these woods. I decided that was the best decision. Perhaps it was after I finished engaging these archers. He's pretty much just got 1 left now, and it's like half strength. You can see those guys that were in the woods. It's only 5 archers left. Really nothing to worry about. I still have, let's see, 1 half strength, 3/4, full, full, almost full, and almost full. My archers. So I've still got plenty of archers. No worries there. Okay, so at this point, this is when I'm peeling off my cavalry. Decide to go ahead and clear out these woods, make sure there's no enemies hiding there before I engage my opponent again. Typically I prefer to be the aggressor when possible. I think that's more advantageous because you're getting to decide when and where to fight, and if you're being defensive, then you're just having to react to the other person. So if at all possible, I prefer to be the aggressor. As you saw in the beginning part of the game, I was a little bit too aggressive, and that played against me because my opponent, he sprung those denarii. That was a really good move by him. Very good tactics there. I think maybe if he had been more aggressive and followed up, you know, went ahead and he had all of my cavalry routed. If he would have engaged my infantry and been able to get some rear charges on my infantry, even though I had superior infantry to his, he probably could have taken the battle at that point, or had a really good chance at doing it. So that may have been a blunder on his part to be passive in at that time. I guess we'll never know. Okay, so at this point I cleared the forest there with my cavalry. I'm confident there's no enemies hiding there, so now that I have my forces back in order, it's time to proceed and engage my opponent down in this valley. So as I said, my opponent was, you know, backing away throughout the battle up to this point, and even up to now, he backed away even more. He was initially here, kind of at the edge of this wood line, and then out into this valley. So he backed up to this point. I don't recall if he's near the edge of the map, but getting your forces near the edge of the map is not a good idea. You can see that some of his cavalry are actually facing the wrong way. so that's a little error on his part. If I get my archers in range and can start shooting them in the rear, that's going to be just wasted, wasted forces for no reason. They have virtually no defense in the rear like that. But you don't want to get your forces near the edge of the map, because if you're in combat and they rout and you're near the edge of the map, they can very easily just run off the map and then you've lost them. But a lot of times when forces rout, if they're not completely decimated down to just a few men, then there's a very good chance that after running for a little while they'll stop routing and they'll come back. So generally it's a good idea to stay a good distance away from the edge of the map just for that reason alone. If you get near the edge of the map and you engage in combat, that's a high risk. Okay, so I've brought my forces down this kind of the edge of this hill here, coming down to this flat plain where I'm going to engage my opponent. He's deployed with, he's got a 4 unit front here of his infantry with he's putting 2 Praetorian cohorts on the edge. He's got 2 Praetorians and 2 Urbans on the front line, a Triarii in the rear. So infantry wise, it looks like he's got 7 units. I've got 6, so that may be something to take into account whenever the infantry engage. Having 1 extra unit, he can do a flanking maneuver on some part of my line. Okay, the cavalry that were facing the wrong way, he's pulled over onto this one side, so he's dedicating right now all of his cavalry to this side, right? Which may or may not be advantageous for him. There's benefits and there's drawbacks to it. If something happens on this side, it's going to take him extra time to get those horses over here to react to it. Yeah, as I was saying about the boundary, you can see here's the boundary of the map. So he's right up against the boundary. He's trying to use that boundary as protection for his right flank over here. But this is too big of a gap. You can still get in over here. If I decided to engage in this area, this is a large enough gap that you can still do things there. So if this were me with this boundary over here, I would probably take half my cavalry and keep them in the middle so that I can react to either side, and then half on this edge. I think that would be better. Just my opinion though. Okay, so at this point I don't recall what exactly was going on, why there was such a long delay there before I advanced. Perhaps, I think we were texting back and forth just talking about the match. This was a very, respectful and fun opponent to play against. He was, he wasn't like saying any rude things or saying stupid things in the chat. We were talking about different tactics and what had proceeded with the battle. So at this point, he's putting his cavalry out here. They can threaten my flank and my rear, but they're within range. Some of them are, or were momentarily, with my archers. I took some pot shots at them. So what he's trying to do, this is a pretty good decision here. He's going to bring these all around to this side, far enough away that my infantry can't really chase them down and engage them. My cavalry is too small if I try to take them on alone. So there's not much I can do. I'm going to take my reserve unit, I'm going to put them over here back with my cavalry so that they can be ready to support them should his cavalry try to come in. And just on the level of micro that it takes now, I have something that's behind me and something that's in front of me, right? So my opponent is dividing my attention, which can be a good thing to do, right? If my attention's over here, he may be able to bring his cavalry in without me noticing it, or maybe I don't notice it soon enough and I don't react in time. So I'm going to go ahead and engage the infantry fight. I've got my urban cohorts against his Praetorian cohorts in the middle here, and then urban against urban, urban against urban. You can see on this edge he's going to go ahead and be able to flank with the Praetorian, or he was I saw that he was going to be able to, so I went ahead and engaged them with mine. So he's actually double teaming me right here. Okay, so at this point, and he's gone ahead and bring his denarii up into the middle. I've got a few gaps in my line here. I decided that my best bet was to go ahead and win the infantry fight, and that I didn't really care about my archers. And so I brought my cav in around on this side. I'm going to do some charges here that immediately routes that Praetorian cohort. He charges in with his denarii, and I take my reserve unit and try to occupy his cavalry. The idea here is if I can just keep his cavalry occupied and roll up this side, that I can win this battle. And so that's my goal here. So I momentarily engaged and was able to rout 2 of his cav. He took the other 2 and he did 2 charges into my urbans here and was able to rout them. But I then did a second attack on the remaining unit he had over here, and I brought my reserve urban cohorts back up. So I've essentially established a line this way to fight up this hill. And back over here on this side, I have 2 urbans that are engaging his troops. So the battle's kind of divided in half at this point. Half over here, half on this side. And I'm actually in a, I think, good position on both sides. The battle's going back and forth. You can see I've lost some Praetorian cav here. It's very hard fighting. And at this point, with my Praetorian cav fighting against this depleted urban cohort, I decide to go ahead and pull my reserve troops up the hill, try to take this side, which his cav was left defending with a depleted Praetorian. I'm sorry, a Praetorian and an urban. So this battle's been very fluid. It divided into 2 sides, and then one side swung my way and then his way. I brought reinforcements over here to go ahead and try to swing that battle back to my direction.
The enemy general is running away. This is no way for a leader to behave, but in battle it's beyond belief.
So my Praetorian cav and some remaining urban cohorts I had over here were able to take out his general's urban cohort. He has a Praetorian cohort left here. I probably didn't see that this unit was left and just completely abandoned that fight to finish off this side of the battle. I've still got just a very small amount of cav chasing down the remaining infantry he had there. So now at this point, I'm actually up here on a slight hill with his Praetorian cohorts down on this side, and I'm going to swing my archers back around here. I'm going to have a semblance of a battle line here and come down the hill at his Praetorians. There we go.
Rome demands victory from her generals, and this day is clearly our victory.
So at that point I was trying to reform my battle lines so I could just re-engage the remaining forces he had, but they were so minimal and they were so tired from the fighting that they immediately broke. So that was, I think, a very good battle, well fought. It went back and forth. It probably could have gone either direction. It could have gone either way at any time, but definitely a good game to my opponent, Tomahawk Arsenal, and I'll see you guys next time.